Heat 2 is the sequel book that came out last week. This book is written by Michael Mann. Actually, this actually came out 2 weeks ago now. But, anyways, the point of this book is that it's written by Michael Mann, the director of the movie Heat. Now, if you don't know the movie Heat, it is a 90s crime, drama, action movie directed by Michael Mann, the author of this book. It's got Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, incredible cast, some of the greatest actors of all time. And it is an incredible bank robbery epic action movie. I've reviewed it on the channel if you guys want to check out that review. But that's up now. Took me a while to get through this book because Amazon was not the quickest at delivering it. I think a lot of people had that problem. And I wasn't able to find it in store either, so I just kind of had to jump the gun, order it from Amazon. Amazon never shipped it, and then it finally came, and I actually had to read through it, so I could do this review. But I gotta say, this is a pretty good book. I was actually surprised about it. Now, there's some red flags with this book, which is that it is like a prequel, a sequel, and kind of all in one. And I think this but that's that's one red flag. Then the other red flag, and then is like Val Kilmer and Robert De Niro's characters aren't alive anymore, or survivors anymore of what happened in the first movie, which is fine, because it was just a one-off movie. But now that you're doing a sequel, it kind of makes that harder because you don't have that amazing cast. I think this movie really works still, or this book anyways. And part of that is you do get more development on them in this book because it is a prequel. But most of this book actually focuses on Chris. And what I think this book feels like it's very inspired by The Godfather, Part 2. Because if you watch The Godfather Part 2, some of it's a prequel and then some of it's a sequel. And that's basically how this book is, right? This is Heat 2, but half of the story is a sequel, the other half's a prequel. And it works super well, and it's incredibly well written. This book is very well paced. It keeps the story engaging. I think this is one of those things where they probably just adapted this because don't get me wrong, this would be a really good movie if they made it into a movie. They'd have to change some things, obviously. But I think the reason that they adapted this into a book and not into a movie is just because Robert De Niro and those amazing actors, while incredible actors and legends of their time, and their older movies will forever be classics and things like that, they don't have the pull in the audience in the theaters anymore. Netflix said recently they're not going to fund things like The Irishman anymore. So these kind of more auteur-driven projects with these incredible cast and actors are not something that you're going to see a lot of. So that's why I say movies like Amsterdam coming out, you should really make it a priority if you like those types of movies to go see that. I know David O. Russell, I think that's his name, the guy who did The Fighter, who's directing Amsterdam, is a piece of shit in his own right. But, I mean, just, take that out of the equation. If you like these types of movies, we got to go out and support them. And, maybe this is where we'll get sequels to some of these movies that would have had sequels. But also you have to understand Val Kilmer, not in the best of health, so they and stuff like that. I still think that they could have cast younger people because it is a prequel, because they wouldn't have to do a lot in the story. But, I just don't think they would have ever gotten to making a sequel, especially under Disney. This is an incredible book and sequel to the movie. It's got some issues with how certain characters meet up throughout the story. It's a little too coincidental, but for the most part, I think it really works. Is it as good as the first movie? Probably not, but it's a good book that adds on to the first movie without hurting anything in the first movie. It's just slightly below the first movie is all, but I definitely recommend this. This is going at a price point of $20. It's a really good continuation of the awesome movie, which is one of the greatest action movies of all time, and bank robbery movies, heist movies, and just movies in general. Just a great movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out.